Hey everyone, welcome back to Project Man. I am your host, Clover. Today I got another top 5 video, and this was from the American Dad community on Instagram. They gave me this idea, and again, I thank them a lot for doing this. Today's topic is top 5 best American Dad drug episodes. That's right, drugs, marijuana, smoking, all the fun drug things, and it took me a while to find it on the wiki list. So with that said, let's get started. At number 5, Joint Custody, Season 2, Episode 19. Stan becomes annoyed with Haley's boyfriend Jeff, a Boyleman who lives in his van, which he keeps parked right in front of the Smith's house. Since Stan can't legally have the van towed as it's not on his property, he has it destroyed. However, this leads to Jeff moving in with the Smiths, so that he begins to annoy Stan more than ever. Haley explains that he has nowhere else to go as he had not spoken to his father for years, and his mother ran away before he was born. Roger does some searching on the internet and discovers that Jeff is wanted in Florida for possession of marijuana. Oh boy. But that he had skipped bail, Stan decides to turn Jeff in. Roger wants to do so as well, is solely for the money so he can buy more disguises, but Stan takes off with Jeff without Roger including the alien wrath. Stan and Jeff travel across the country on the pretext of taking Jeff to a baseball game. And as they go, Jeff talks about how he had been in some trouble at one point, but has not talked to his father since afraid to disappoint him. Roger catches up to them and reveals to Jeff Stan plans to turn him in. Jeff manages to escape from both them, and Stan goes in pursuit after disabling Roger's motorcycle. Jeff flees to his father's farm in Rail, North Carolina, and calls Haley. She and Francine decide to go and try to stop Stan. Klaus overhears and calls both Stan and Roger to tell them where Jeff is. Meanwhile, Francine can't find the keys to her car, so Steve volunteers to hotwire it. Stan tracks Jeff to his father's farm, but Jeff asks to spend one night with his dad before Stan takes him away. Stan meets Mr. Fisher, who goes on a long rant praising Jeff, but it is obviously sarcastic about the whole thing, which Stan finds rather cruel. Roger shows up again and reveals Stan's plan is this time to Mr. Fisher. Mr. Fisher ties both of them up, declares that he indeed to turn Jeff in himself for the reward money. He also reveals a startling fact that he has growing marijuana. Jeff was found with one on his farm and sent Jeff to bring it to Florida through Jeff had been totally unaware of any of this. He leaves the two tied up, but brings his son anyway to Florida, telling Jeff that he knows about the drug incident, but that he intends to prove him innocent. Meanwhile, Stan and Roger manage to escape, but only after setting the barn afire. of Cannibal is on fire. As a result of smoke inflation, the two become high. And while they go to rescue Jeff, they find themselves easily distracted. Yeah. With this episode, basically, Mr. Fisher wants to turn into the Jeff for the role of Marty. He doesn't care about his son. He only cares about money. Joint custody, I thought, was a very good episode. It's not my favorite, but it is a drug episode with marijuana, Jeff getting framed for smuggling it in and getting caught, his dad turning him in for the money because he doesn't care about his son, and Stan wanted to turn him in because, he's a wanted man, and again, Roger wants to turn him in, and the whole stick at the end is funny because Stan and Roger are just high as hell, and Roger doesn't let go bag of the dog food. Alright, let's go on to number 4. Number 4, Dope Faith. Alright, this is season 3, episode 3. This is basically not kind of a drug episode, but Stan prays for a friend. He meets Brent Morse, another ultra-conservative who is virtually identical to Stan. They share many interests, including paddle boating, boxing, and even get tested for AIDS together. However, the perfect friendship hits a snag when Stan discovers that Brent does not believe in God. In any attempts to convince him, Brent about God's existence only sours the relationship, not wanting Brent to soul to burn in hell due to his system of beliefs. Stan tries to make Brent convert by showing him things he considers proof of God, such as Kurt Russell's career, a woman in labor, a sunset, and rotting whale carcasses. This attempt fails, which depress Stan. Okay, but meanwhile, for pretty revenge after Steve starts gloating of how special he is, Roger convinced Steve that he's been accepted to Hogwarts. The American version, people. Come on. Roger directs him to an old shack that embraces him, only to discover it is an actual crack house. Nevertheless, Steve is convinced it is Hogwarts disguised by a cloaking charm, and that the crack dealers are his professors. Steve also makes the mistake of forging phrases, Levite las manos as incantation spell when he hears his potion partner says it discreetly, this along with many similar mispronunciations. The crack house dealer sees Steve's skills in chemistry can be used to make cocaine, for which they reward Steve with a large amount of cash. Roger then decides to use Steve's scam to make money. However, when Steve accidentally steals a brick of cocaine under the opinion that he's doing extra credit studying for potion class, the dealers show up with intentions getting their coke back by killing Steve and Roger. Roger, who gets a face full of coke brick, goes berserk and kills them all after drawing out a gun battle. Steve easily is convinced by Roger that his professors were in fact Death Eaters in disguise. Is convinced he is one who defeats them since his glasses were broken during the scuffle. Then proceeds to teach Steve a potion which consists of sulfuric acid, and a hacksaw. This Baptist is asking this hacksaw. I like the ending. I thought it was very funny that Roger tricked Steve thinking that this crack house was Hogwarts. The American version, people. I mean, come on. Just because this was a Stan episode, the side of paying a tribute to Scarface, because that's what Roger's dressed up as a disguise. He's just a Scarface. And he says, I'm going to have to call you back. Do they know where you live? Do they know where you live? Levite las manos. If you don't know what that means, in Spanish it means basically wash your hands. Levite las manos. Even Zeke thought that was hilarious when this episode first aired. A very good episode. If you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch. It's season 3, episode 3. Moving on to number 3, a Jones for a Smith. Season 5, episode 11. Okay, let's get to it. Stan puts down a liberal social program because he thinks they're a waste of money. More importantly, he believes it keeps people from solving their own problems. When Francine gets arrested and illegal U-turn and drunk driving after she had a drink with Greg and Terry, she is sentenced to work in a soup kitchen. Stan is furious because he believes that everyone should help themselves, and he helps himself to a pot of soup. Nursing a cold, he is offered medication by a street dealer and suddenly feels much better. Supercharged, he blasts his way through a CIA training course until Roger informs him he is on crack. Stan is convinced he can quit on his own, but he finds himself becoming more and more addicted. He steals from his family and friends, but gets caught trying to rob Greg and Terry. An overarranged hostage negotiation gives him money and a plane, and he heads to Colombia, where he soon finds himself distribute. A street punk tries to rob him, but can't do it without help. Stan realizes that getting help does not make you weaker. He returns to Langley Falls and goes into rehab, coming out clean. Okay, yeah. So basically how it starts, Steve meets a girl of his wet dreams and finds out that even her father is on board once he meets Steve's parents. Desperate for crack fix, Stan tries to steal and then offers to perform an unnatural act on the father, ruining Steve's chances. Steve says he will hate Stan until the day he dies. Ugh. Okay. This is funny because he bought it from a guy on the streets in a dirty lime green suit. And he's like, oh my god, it's crack. This is just funny because Stan not wanting help from the family, think he can do it on his own, he can stop any time. Roger, intervenes and says, no sir, that is crack. And especially when he had looks like flashback of like a commercial for crack. That was pretty fucking funny, but yeah. But so yeah, that's a Jones for Smith, yeah. That was that episode. It's very funny. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Number 2, Bahama Mama, Season 12, Episode 5. I'm going to keep this short. I'm pretty sure most of you have seen this episode. Basically, Haley and Jeff want to try to have a baby, and Stan don't want to be a granddad just yet. He don't want to be old. He's still young and hip and tries all these things to try to stay young. But, basically, it's the side story which got me. When the drug shortage becomes apparent, Steve and Klaus are rescued from death by the kids club. They Steve and Klaus ditch the kids club to explore outside of the resort and are immediately captured by a drug gang, but news of soon becoming an uncle spares their lives, and they are incorporated into the gang. Although Klaus loses control under the influence of cocaine, when the drug shortage becomes apparent, Steve and Klaus are rescued from death by the kids club. They sprung while trying to stop Donnie. A series of misshapen leaves stand hard of hearing and appearing elderly. He manages to annoy a group of children playing in the pool who turn on him. Roger leaps in to save him, but plants himself face first in inches of water, bringing his lifeguard dream to a halt. Stan sees that Jeff is about to be killed and sends the children after the villain of the show, where he is dragged off into the bushes. Alright, basically, when I was reading this is just basically, Steve and Klaus wander off. Klaus has too much coke. He said he wanted to be called Razor. And, yeah, they're drug dealers. I don't know what to say. I mean, the episode's called Bahama Mama, season 12, episode 5. It's basically Jeff and Helly want a baby. Stan wants to stop it. My lord, I mean, that's probably like the side stories with the gang and the cocaine. I feel like that's a good side episode for drugs. I don't know. If you knew a better one for this list, comment below. No? Okay. Okay, at number 1, Jeff and the Dank-Ass Weed Factory, Season 14, Episode 5. Yeah, this had to be number 1 because it's featuring Snoop Dogg as whatever that guy's name is, Timothy Weed or whatever. I don't know. I barely paid attention to this episode, but I do remember watching it, and it is probably current. Egged on by Klaus, Stan rants against potheads, particularly Jeff at the local pot shop. The stoners learn of a contest sponsored by, it was Tommy Tokes. I know it was Tommy something. With a prize of touring his weed factory. However, the CIA uses the contest for a massive drug bust and dreams of acquiring the everlasting edible, a drug so powerful enough to give on an everlasting high. As the ticket are slowly taken, Jeff despairs for ever finding a winning, but he gets the very last one and asks Stan to accompany him on the tour. As the tour progresses, the participants meet their fate, suspecting Stan to be a narc. Ha! Government narcs. Because he refused to participate in his edible room. Tommy blends him a special joint, ditching the tour for a time. Jeff and Stan slip into a room where They discover a everlasting edible, but calmly a new appreciation for the marijuana. Stan refuses to take it. However, when they are the only ones left at the end of the tour, Stan is discovered with the edible, having faked being high thanks to CIA techs. As a punishment, Stan is nearly turned into one of Tommy's Snoopa Loompas. What a weird name, a Snoopa Loompa. But managed to interrupt the process halfway, though, and is rescued by Jeff. In their attempt to flee, Jeff is forced to kill all the Snoopa Loompas and get Tommy to allow them to leave, though a glass elevator as they ascend into the sky. Stan admits he doesn't think of Jeff as a loser that he did before, but becomes very concerned as the elevator starts to crash back down to Earth. Okay. It's not my favorite episode, but it is a drug episode, so basically they did a spoof on Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. Basically Snoop Dogg, Tommy Tope as Willy Wonka, and as the Oompa Loompas, they had Snoopa Loompas, which is purple, which they rap, and basically half the people that won died for very dumb reasons of them being stoned and high. I mean, shit, one guy died by eating a stapler. Like, fool, that's just a desk. That is an office. You can't eat a stapler. He just ate like a pelican. I mean, killed himself. I thought that was a very funny part, but Stan's faking being high, I mean, yeah, this was a really hard top 5 for me to make, because I was going through the list of the Wikipedia trying to find what are some good ones, and again, I want to thank the American Dad fan group on Instagram for submitting this idea of the top 5 videos, and thank you very much. Guys, if you have a top 5 in mind that you want me to do, comment below. Like always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to this video, and turn on the bell for notifications to know when I have another video up. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. That's what I've been using lately. Don't forget I have a Ko-fi. If you want to donate $3 to support my projects, it will help me out massively to pay for my artists and other projects and my editor, instead of it just coming out of my paycheck every month and trying to struggle. I mean, I am trying to still think of prizes. I mean, I do have some like photos from a thumbnail that I printed out. I can hand sign that if people would want one. I also have the cult symbol from my story if you would like that signed. Just these little things I can give, but like I said, thank you for tuning in. If you have a suggestion for a video, let me know, and I'll see you next time. Later, guys.